Read friends. I'm way behind. I missed getting my first update video up. So I'm going to try to catch up on where I am so far in the month. Um, if you watched my September wrap up and my October readathon video, you'll know I'm doing kind of three this month. Obviously, like I always do, I have one that's my priority, and then the other two are just kind of tagging along for the fun. I'm reading the lottery. I'm reading for the Lottery-a-thon, which was a fun little project where they gave us prompts, and then we drew the number of prompts we wanted to in 3 rounds. And then once you had drawn for round one, you put all the numbers back in, and then you draw for round two and put all the numbers. So I got some duplicates. So I'm reading the same prompt more than once. Um, I'm also doing the Supernaturalthon, which has 10 books in it, one for each of some of the major characters in that TV series. And then I did the second month of the TBR Readathon. It was so much fun. Um, so yeah, that's where I am. And I'm going to talk you through what I've read so far this month. It is, as I'm recording this, the 13th. By the time you actually see it, it would be the 14th at the earliest, just by the time I get it done and ready to go, because it's almost 10 o'clock on the night of the 13th. So we're going to jump right in. For the Lottery-a-thon, I needed to read a book in one sitting, and for the Supernaturalthon, the prompt for Dean's character was a graphic novel. So this took care of both of those. Monsters Volume 2, I actually read Volume 1 as a part of the September Readathon. I'm not normally a graphic novel kid. I've read some of them, usually because of a readathon. Um, but I was very, very intrigued by the first book when I read it in September. The artwork is just exquisite. The main character is trying to figure out exactly what's going on with her. She's the host of something called a monstrum. Um, there are 6 volumes all told. My library actually has all 6, and I intend to finish it. But when I saw that I needed another graphic novel for the readathon, it was a quick, the Supernatural readathon. It was a real quick jump to be like, yeah, let's just go grab volume 2, and it's obviously one I can read in one sitting. Graphic novels aren't that hard to read. At least not that one. I've had some that were larger and harder to read, but these ones are pretty simple to read in one sitting. From there, I went to, I'm trying to finish this series by Janet Ivanovich. It's called the Fox and O'Hare series, called The Scam. The premise behind the whole series is the female agent, and I'm blanking on names, forgive me. Kate O'Hara is an FBI agent who spent a large portion of her career chasing down Nicholas Fox. She arrested him and then put him in prison, and he escaped. When in reality, what they did is they decided to turn him into a super undercover agent, and he helps them catch other high-end art thieves and criminal masterminds like himself, because he was an art thief. So they're working together through all of these books, and they all have like these: the scam, the pursuit, the job, the whatever. So this one I stretched a little bit. When I picked the book, I stretched it a little bit. For the Supernaturalthon, you're supposed to read a book with a villain you love. Now, Nicholas Fox is sort of the bad guy because he's the one Kate's been chasing all this time, and now he's working with her. And obviously, in true Janet Ivanovich form, there's a romance sparking. Interestingly enough, I ended up sort of loving to hate the villain in this book. They go after a man named Evan Trace, who's shady as all get out and laundering money. So I did end up really finding that it fit, because the villain in this book I kind of loved, but loved to hate him, kind of thing. So that was for the Supernaturalthon. That one, yeah, that was the only one. This book, this next one, oh my goodness. I felt terrible because it fit a prompt, and I got it to review from a website. It's not Bookish First. That's what I wanted to say. That's the wrong one. I'm blanking on it now, but it's another you get books to review from the website. I chose it because I got to choose this one. I chose it because it takes place, a large portion of the story takes place in Tuscany, which is an area of the world I think is gorgeous. I'm not the kind of person that has all these international travel dreams. Tuscany would be a place I would love to see in person. Every picture I've ever seen, every movie I've ever seen set there is gorgeous. That's why I picked the book. I ended up giving it a 1-star rating. And the only reason it got 1 star was because the descriptions of the Tuscan countryside were so beautiful. The storyline is a mess. It's the story of a man who lost the one great love of his life when he got a job offer and she wouldn't move to be with him. His dad buys this house in Tuscany and leaves behind money to get it all fixed up. He leaves to go write and reconnects with Eleanor while he's there. The problem is they're both married. He's actually on his second marriage. His first wife died in a car accident. Um, his second wife is pure evil. That's the way she's written. She's a very one-dimensional character. She's just awful. And the author makes it very clear that she's always been this awful. And the main character knew she was this awful when he married her. So you're like, dude, it's not like she changed on you. You married her mean. And she tries, the author, P.W. Hazeldine is the author. The book's called Finding Eleanor. Sorry. There we go. His father pays the same caretaker that takes care of the house in Tuscany to make a wine and name it after Eleanor. It's really creepy. The ghost of his dad keeps showing up. My bigger issue was the fact that these two cheat on their spouses, and it's supposed to be they're the walking definition of what love looks like. She's got a husband who's got temper issues and is kind of a jerk, and his wife is just evil personified. So their spouses are supposed to make you hate them and root for the couple. The problem is the author didn't set them up to be decent people who turned ugly. They were just ugly from the moment they got married. So they married terrible people and now feel justified in cheating on their spouses and not returning home to them and staying in Tuscany together. Um, I wasn't impressed. I wasn't. And maybe I'm old fashioned, but I think I would have responded differently had either one of them been married to somebody who was really sweet and then suddenly turned and like hid their true colors. But they both went into their marriages knowing they were marrying terrible humans. So I wasn't impressed with the book. It's the worst review I've maybe ever left of a book at all. The only thing that earned it a star was its descriptions. The author does a beautiful job describing the countryside. You can literally visualize the picture she's painting with her words. So for that, I applaud her. It was beautifully described scenery, and that's the only reason I gave it even a single star. Luckily, the very next book that I read was one that I loved again, and that was the standalone book for my TBR Readathon. We were back to Janet Ivanovich. These books are quick reads. This is The Pursuit, the next book in the Fox and O'Hare series. This is for the prompts from Supernatural for Cass, the sassy sidekick. Nicholas Fox is very definitely a sass master. The very next book I read, I got from a review website, and no, I didn't. I lied. This one I got a direct either email or Twitter DM from the author asking me to read this book. I am in love. It's the first book in a series. It's high fantasy. I'm unbelievably excited about this book. It's called The Magic Book. For the TBR Readathon, I needed a colorful book, and for the Lottery-a-thon, I needed the newest from an author. This one qualifies as both. That cover is stunning by Frederick Chernoff, The Magic Book. I'm trying to figure out how much I can tell you without giving everything away. I don't do spoilers, in case you didn't know. I do not do spoilers. I won't do spoilers. The Magic Book is the first of a series called The Atlantic Island Divided, Book 1. This man, his name is Nathaniel, and he lives in this enclave, and they're told that if they go over the wall, all that's waiting for them is hellfire and damnation. Well, he goes over the wall. Two of his friends are killed because of his desire to go over the wall. And you find out as you read that this is probably planet Earth post-apocalyptic, maybe, or it's an alternate reality that has occurred because of an apocalypse on planet Earth. So there's something there going on. But if it is post-apocalyptic Earth, it's centuries in the future. I was captivated really early on. I usually don't like series that leave me with more questions than answers at the end of a first book, and this one definitely does. It leaves you going, okay, you answered like 2 questions and generated like 9 more. But Chernoff does such a great job keeping you invested and giving you just enough to keep you coming back for more. I can't wait. The next book in the series isn't even out yet, I don't believe. But it was a phenomenal 5-star read for me. If you like, it almost fits in the high fantasy genre. The story involves a past, the post-apocalyptic part of the storyline involves a past president who basically sets himself up as a dictator. There's a second civil war in the U.S. Yeah, it's intense. It's intense. Definitely worth checking out. Frederick Chernoff, The Magic Book. Atlantic Island Divided, book one. I'm definitely going to be finishing the series on this one. Post-apocalyptic stories wear on me a little bit because it's always teenagers saving the world because adults are too stupid to know how to do that. In this one, it's a man who is the last survivor of what they call the Great Ones. He's the last Great One still alive, and they were nearly immortal, had powers that were supernatural. And his are fading, and all the other Great Ones have died out, so they discovered they weren't quite completely immortal. They just lived for a lot longer than the average human. And like I said, that was my newest from an author on the Lottery-a-thon and the colorful book for my TBR Readathon. The last one I read, again on my Kindle app, sappy romance, fantasy romance, but it was still a really cute story. It wasn't necessarily super stereotypical. Didn't have a lot of the tropes that a lot of love stories usually do. It's called Tink's Neverland by S.E. Smith. Ooh, and there's a series too. I haven't read. Oops, sorry about that. I switched books on you. There's a series. This is, I believe, the first in the series. Sorry, it's not cooperating. Tink's Neverland, subtitled Cosmos Gateway, Book One. The blonde, cute little blonde you see, her name is Jasmine Bell. Her name is Tinker. Her mom and dad were kind of nomadic gypsy type people. She and her siblings, two sisters, grew up traveling around the country in an RV. And as the girls reached, as they were homeschooled, kind of the carefree nomadic lifestyle. And as the girls would reach the age of like 18, they would suddenly be like, you know what, the city we're visiting now is pretty cool. I'm just going to stay here. So their parents would move on and leave them. Well, Tink is brilliant with mechanics. She can fix anything. She's no self-defense, so she's a pretty feisty little fighter. She lives in a building with a friend of hers who is a hardcore science nerd whose parents are independently wealthy, and they've set him up with this really sweet lab. And she stumbles into one of his experiments, which basically she enters a different dimension, ends up on a completely different. Well, she ends up on a ship headed to a completely distant planet in another dimension of the universe. And this race is in danger of dying out because each of the women in the race can only have one child at a time. There are no multiple births, and the success of actually breeding, having a child, is low, and the majority of the babies born are male, and they have this body chemistry that reacts to their intended mate. When you meet your mate, a pattern of circles appears on the palm of your hand, and the same pattern appears on your mate's palm. When Tink ends up on the ship and she's staring out the front window looking at the stars, she gets all excited and she grabs the hand of the captain, and matching sets of circles show up on her palm and his. So somehow this Earth woman is compatible with their race and becomes the bondmate or the wife of the captain of the ship. The rest of the series involves the men trying to figure out how they can get brides from Earth. She's got a couple of sisters, and a couple of the men have checked out the photo, so you can kind of imagine where this is going. It was fun. It was a cute little romantic romp. Tink is a very strong female, very sassy, strong female, who knows what she wants and isn't ashamed to go after it. So it made it kind of fun to read because she's mated to this warrior and she can hold her own against him the entire time. So it's really kind of cute. The really fun thing is, this is a complete spoiler. She does end up pregnant, and they're all freaking out because when they do all the biological readings, they're getting duplicate readings. And she's like, oh, that just means I'm having twins. And they've never heard of that because none of their women ever have multiple births. So the fact that she's having twins freaks everybody out because they didn't know that was possible. So she has some fun educating them about the fact that Earth women do that occasionally. From here, right now I'm focusing on a book that I got from my library. Libraries are my best friend. My library is my best friend when it comes to readathon time. It's actually the group book for the Lottery-a-thon, but I'm jumping on it now rather than leaving it till after I've read all the other prompts because I had to request it and they put it on hold for me. And our library has a policy that if you check out a book that was on hold, you can't renew it right away. So I need to get it read so I can get it returned. I mean, I've got 3 weeks to get it read, but still I want to get it read and turn it back in. So 10,000 Doors of January. It's actually really good. I'm not very far in, but it's pretty good. It's the main character's name is January. And she talks about finding these weird random doors that take her into other dimensions. But every time she tells other people about them, things happen and the doors go away. And by things happening, I mean people burn them down, people sell the property, and the building that it was a part of gets demolished. But I'm intrigued. I'm enjoying it so far. I believe that according to the bio, if I'm not mistaken, let me double check. Yeah. Excuse me. Alex E. Harrell, this is her debut novel. She's an ex-historian, according to her bio in the back of the book. Um, but this is her debut novel, and I'm really, I'm loving it right now at the beginning. We've only gotten to 2 doors, so I don't know where the other few thousand are coming from. But it's called The 10,000 Doors of January. It's the group book for um, the Lottery-a-thon. So that's what I'm focused on right now. Competition season, marching band season is over, so I'll have a little bit more time to read on the weekends. Except for this Saturday, I'm running away for my birthday, so you know. But yeah, we're doing that, and then I've also other library books I've got checked out right now. Um, dropping things. I've got Patricia Cornwell's The Body Farm that I'll be reading as well. And checked out from the library on top of all the others is House by Frank Peretti and Ted Decker, which is a book with, I think it's a book with green on the cover for the Lottery-a-thon, I think is where that fell. Um, so yeah, I've got several others to get busy reading, but I'm making the 10,000 Doors of January a priority because I can't renew that one from the library and I want to get it read and returned. So have a great week and let me know in the comments what you're reading.